and I will just be sharing my screen. Oh, it is already shared, so you would be able to see this content which I'm opening right away, and you would be talking more. Okay, before I actually go and start about the presentation and everything, any open-ended questions which also came to your came in your interview? Open-ended question like what is about the market, financial market? How do you see this crisis? Uh, how do you see this crisis, and what are your view about the crisis? How long this can continue, and all these kind of questions, so open-ended question. If these questions also came, anyone can
Sir,
send it.
actually, he asked me that, yeah, he asked me that he framed it like, so you are investing. So are you investing even right now, as the market is volatile?
Okay.
So I replied, yeah, I am investing
Okay.
because it is the
Okay. So what you
best
said?
opportunity because I said, yeah, it is the best opportunity for a trader as the speculation is more. In volatile conditions, the shares move more than the usual, so you can earn better than you can earn in a stable time. So he said, but the market is volatile, you can lose too.
Hmm.
When the market is volatile, you can short sell then. So he said, wow, it's good to know that you
Hmm.
know about short selling and these stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
mostly my interview was about kind of personal things like co-curricular activities and what I
Hmm.
was doing, how I was doing, and more about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But
Which is
yeah, he
good.
said that it is good to know that, he
Yeah.
said that it is good to know that you have all the knowledge about these things.
Okay. So guys, as I was telling the other days also, like it is not when the interviews happen, then they're not always interested to know about the technical stuff that you know. They can be quite interested to know about your personal life and how you actually like how you spend your day and the thing, how individual you are in your life. Like so, that is also a very uh, kind of a point which the interviews have in their mind when they interact with the candidates. So this is really nice. If you tell me like the interviewer was interested to know about your personal stuff, then it is a good thing overall. Overall, it is a good thing because if these points come in the interview and you're able to answer them, then overall it always goes in your favor only. Okay, so good to know all that stuff. Now let me just open the presentation.
Sir, how have you been over your home
Uh,
place?
yeah, actually, I had come to my home place as you know. So this place is uh, quite cool in terms of now there is no pollution, nothing is there. In fact, any which ways there was not that much pollution compared to Delhi. Because Delhi is more polluted. So Chandigarh is not that much polluted. You know. It's
Hmm.
but any now given everything is locked down, so things have really come to standstill. So it is very quiet
And how is
nowadays.
your work going?
On
Is it operational enough?
yeah, again as you know, work from home is a challenge. It's a challenge for
Yeah.
me also. But I'm able to manage given I don't have much to use in terms of the Excel and all. So it is more on the PPT stuff and the calls and all. So that way I'm able to manage. But still, when you have desktop, when you have two screens, then it is more user friendly. Otherwise, if you are doing it everything with the laptop without the dual monitor, then probably things are quite messy and at times you get frustrated, you get irritated why you're doing it from home. So that is the thing. So, but you can't help it, you know, because these are the hard times and you will have to bear with the situation and accordingly have to carry on with this stuff also. You cannot you cannot just stop the thing you are supposed to do because situation is really very difficult and it is difficult for everyone. And if you see the notices which has come from IMF and all. So they have already said the crisis is not very far off. The global crisis is not very far off. So that way, it is going to be a very difficult situation for all of us. And let's see how it actually goes from here. But on the face of it, this is really going to be tough for everyone. Okay. Now, can you see the complete screen, as in the full screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I was just trying to minimize the options which I have on the right side of my screen, because that is covering a lot of space in my case. However, you're not having problem with those. One second, let me see if I have the option to minimize them. Okay, so today's agenda is to discuss about KYC and AML, right? So we will be going through this slide, and we have got close to 100 plus slides. So if did today, then probably the remaining part would be done tomorrow. So that is how we would be doing it. So okay, so now, as we have already been through the interview, which was pertaining to KYC and AML, and also about the corporate action. So what is AML and what is KYC? What is AML and what is KYC? What is your understanding about AML and KYC? Anyone can go ahead and maybe have a brief, the brief understanding or the brief uh, knowledge that you have gathered so far by learning about the same thing on your own from Google, or maybe from anywhere else, that you can share with the group, with me.
So actually, it is initially the result of various meetings, you can say, or the World Initiative like Vienna Convention, or later that FAT, what was that? Financial Action Task Force that was created. So according to that, every country has to put the norms to regulate the that segment like money laundering. So to comply with that, Indian government has put the KYC norms, know your customer norms, to prevent money laundering.
Right, absolutely. So in a sense, you can say the KYC and money laundering are the two things which go hand in hand. So when you are
Yeah.
doing KYC, and so you also have a larger view in your mind that you would be preventing money laundering activities by performing a good KYC in the beginning, and also the process will be ongoing. It just not be at the start of the process, or at the start of the account opening, when you have done the KYC, and then you leave it and you think everything is all good, and you forget about the customer and the customer's conduct with bank and various beneficiaries and the people, stakeholders who's with whom is doing the business, in terms of transferring money, or sending payments. So all those things, so it is not like that. So it is the ongoing thing wherein you keep monitoring the transaction of the customers. And this is because, as Jeff also said, to mitigate the risk which is pertaining to the money laundering. And why it is important to stop money laundering? Why is this important to stop money laundering? So there is some reason for that, right? So the reasons are, yeah.
So the majorly reason was, as it's described, the money laundering it will, I mean, in future it will create politicians of no integrity. So basically, whoever is doing money laundering will invest in some things that will also be bad for the economy. And
Right,
it will
absolutely.
also like long-term effect of, mostly it ends up in politics, and
Yes.
this is where is getting controlled. So
Right, right, absolutely. So, okay, and the rest of the reasons we will understand when we actually look onto the slides that we have for you. Okay, so this is the agenda, anti-money laundering and KYC. So let's come to the first screen. What is money laundering? Money laundering. Okay, so can you all read this? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, fair enough. So when I say money laundering, right, what exactly that does that mean? Because it is if I transfer my fund from my account to your account, okay? If I transfer fund from my account to your account or maybe from my friend's account, will that be considered a money laundering?
no.
No.
No, right? Okay. So so the one thing is clear, like every transfer or every movement of fund would not be termed as money laundering. So that means there should be some specific things which would be called, which would be considered to be the things of money laundering. So what those things would be? Any clue, any idea?
Yes, a money earned from narcotics is the major example.
Yes, yes, yes,
Money earned from real estate mostly is black money. So
absolutely.
they did, they just they divide a huge amount into small parts. That is called
Yeah,
placement stage. No, that is a placement stage. Then they layer it. They just invest it to
right.
somewhere, then to somewhere, then to somewhere. That is layering, and then they integrate. Eventually, when there are too many layers, it is hard to recognize where actually the money came from. They just
Mm-hmm.
integrated it at one place and invest it somewhere. Their money is totally white.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very well said. Very well said. So you can say the money which where the if we conclude what is money laundering, so you can say in nutshell, money laundering is an act wherein you try to hide the source of fund, right? You try to hide the source of funds, so the money can be illicit money, and that money you channelize to do various other illicit things. So that can be related to terrorism, that could be related to drug trafficking, that could be related to human trafficking, any illicit thing that you do by using that money, and the money is not, which is not having a trail of its source. So the trail of source is missing, and that is when that kind of a money would be termed as money laundering, because you are intentionally hiding the source of your money. So that could be because of a tax evasion. You do not want to pay tax to the authorities. You have a good income and you are just transferring money from one account to another account. So it could be due to various reasons. So when you actually hide the source of the fund, so that act would be called as money laundering, right? So look at these lines which are written there. There are two key elements to a money laundering offense: the necessary act of a laundering itself, the provision of financial services, and the requisite degree of knowledge, suspicion, either subjective or objective, relating to the source of the funds or the conduct of a client. So when the money laundering is being done, without these two things, it cannot be done. So one, there has to be one financial system which would be facilitating the transfer of funds, right? Or the collection of fund, you can say. So once the funds are collected by the financial institution, that means the funds are available in your account now. And once the funds are available in the account, that means those funds are movable from one account to another account using the online banking and the other ways, that by sending a check and all other mediums, right? That we already know. So without a financial system, money laundering is not possible, right? And another thing is, when the transaction goes through moves from one account to another account, it is not directly it is lending into another person's account. No, it is not like this. So there are various checks and balances which are done by the bank, and post that they actually remit the payment from their side to the other side, right? So that's the process. So when you see a transaction, and if there is a suspicion on a transaction, that could be a subjective one or the objective one, and if you do not hold back that transaction and release the transaction, that would be called a money laundering thing on your part, on the bank's part. So if bank is allowing its system to be used to transfer one payment from one account to another account, which could be a domestic account, which could be an international account. So that means one bank is providing its platform. That means the financial system is required. Financial intermediary is required to conduct money laundering, right? And at the same time, when the transaction is being done, when the transaction is being conducted, if it is not monitored, if not due diligence is done while releasing the funds, that would be called a money laundering act. Now the question comes, maybe the transaction which is released by the bank is not released knowingly. Unknowingly, the transaction has been released from the account to the another account, right? So will that act will be considered a money laundering or not? What is your view on this? Anyone? Anyone would like to say on this? So one, I said, like, the money laundering can happen with the help of the financial institutions, or financial institution would be involved in conducting that transaction, right? Another is when the transaction is being conducted, so it goes through some checks and balances which is done by the bank in the question. So if bank does not do those checks and balances properly, there is a huge possibility that they would be doing a money laundering, or so it can be intentionally, or it can be unintentionally. Let's take an example. It is being done unintentionally. I have checked the transactions. I did not find anything wrong in the transaction. I released it. So will that act would be termed as money laundering, or will that not be termed as money laundering?
So if the due reasons are there, then it will be termed as money laundering.
Yes.
Whether it is done to be intentionally or unintentionally. But yeah, you have to, the person who is taking care of all this, and he checks on it and he found that it is a part of money laundering, that this point led to this thing, then obviously he'll be counted in for. And
Absolutely.
you can't say that
Right.
I did intentionally, or I had no reason to go in for it.
Right. Right. Very well said. Very well said, because when a transaction comes under the purview of money laundering, that means it was not the good transaction, it was a bad transaction, right? If a bad transaction goes through the process and due checks and balances, and it clears those checks and balances and lands into the beneficiary account, so that means the bank or the financial institution in question does not have strong checks, strong controls. Therefore, it would not, there is no question of intentional or unintentional thing. It is about the controls thing. So something which goes from one end to the other end due to some slippage. So that is the responsibility of the bank in question, not the authorities or not the person. So person would be questioned by the authorities or the regulators. They would not be sparing that person, neither the bank would be spared, because the checks were done but due to some loophole in the system, or maybe some algorithm which was mismatching, they were not able to capture all those things which were supposed to be captured. So there is no leeway to it. So even if it is unintentional, maybe the person did a good job while reviewing the transaction, but there was not enough algorithm or enough things available for the person to review the transaction thoroughly, and he realized like this looks to be a very good transaction on the face of it, and we can go and release this transaction. But at the end, there is nothing like an intentional and intentional. It is just about a bad transaction or good transaction. If a bad transaction released from the bank end, and if it goes and it goes into the beneficiary account, and if it is reviewed by the regulator and they realize like this was something which was not supposed to be released in the first place, then the bank would be penalized, and at the end and then further it would be drilled down to the people who were involved in screening the transaction, who were involved in monitoring the transaction and doing the entire processing of the transactions. Right. So hope we are clear with this money laundering thing, like what money laundering is. Okay. Okay. So we all remember 2001 terrorist act that happened in New York, and buildings like World Trade Tower, they were demolished and collapsed by the terrorist act, which was done by the terrorists, right?
9/11.
So yeah,
Yeah,
9/11,
9/11.
right? Yeah.
yeah, in 2001 in USA, right?
Yeah, 9/11.
Yeah, yeah, that is named as 9/11.
Yeah, absolutely. 9/11.
Yeah.
9/11 is the word that we is 9/11 we use for that act only, that
Yeah.
terrorist act. And
Yeah.
before that, maybe the terrorist activity was being done here and there, but terrorism really it picked up acceleration and momentum after this 9/11 act, because it was the USA, the world power, which was hit badly. Before that, the other countries were suffering with the terrorism, so the concern was being raised at the United Nations, and it was not taken that seriously at times. So it was not having that bigger limelight or by bigger attention by the world leaders or the world as in the powerful countries in the world, right? But with this act which happened in 2001, that is 9/11 one, which you're talking. So the terrorist act, the terrorist financing actually came into picture. Terrorism financing. However, it is not something which was new. It was happening earlier also, but then picked up very, it picked up prominence, you can say, in a sense, right? So we can just read through these statements written here, money laundering, and then we compare money laundering with terrorism financing. So terrorism financing is one of the things which can be done using money laundering, right? So money laundering is a process of concealing the illicit origin of proceeds of the crimes that we also discussed. In case of money laundering, the funds are always of illicit origin, right? So this is the important thing to remember. In case of money laundering, the funds are always of illicit origin. So that is why it is falling under the purview of money laundering. Terrorism financing. What is terrorism financing? Financing is the collection or provision of funds for illicit purpose, terrorism. In case of terrorist financing, funds can stem from both legal and illicit sources. So, if we look at these two things, one thing is clear: when we compare money laundering, so the funds which are being laundered from one account to another account, those funds are considered to be illicit funds, right? And in case of terrorism financing, so here the funds used for financing terrorism may be legal funds, maybe having a known origin of those funds. So source of those funds is known, or also it is possible the same funds have got the illicit sources. So both the things are possible in case of terrorism finance. Okay. So do we know how much money is laundered? Can you see this? Can you see this? 800 million to 2 trillion. What is the GDP of USA right now, by the way? Any idea?
Yes, it was around 50 trillion, I guess. 40 to 50, in between this range, I guess.
And
I think 20 trillion.
yeah, right. It is close to 21, I guess, 21 trillion, which is the USA's GDP. And you can see now, 2 trillion is a huge amount, right? So the global GDP, it is not just about, it is 2 to 5% of global GDP. So now you can imagine why we are talking, or why we are doing this this presentation, because this subject, KYC AML, has really got a huge attention in the recent past. When I say recent past, that means in the last 2 decades, not even 2 decades, I'll say majorly in 15 years, I will say. In the last 15 years, this AML KYC has really gained huge importance. And on the other slides, you will be able to see the level of fines which were imposed on the banks who were found to be involved into doing money laundering and all. So, and important thing, I will tell you, KYC AML is one of the process which every bank has, every financial institution has. So banks, when I talk about RBS, when I talk about Saxo Bank, when I talk about Bank of America, when I talk about Citibank, when I talk about other financial institutions for that matter, they all have this process KYC AML. So KYC AML is a good process, for no doubt. At times you will find the things are quite monotonous, quite same. But the criticality of these things are very important, because you cannot take things lightly. Even a slight suspicion that when you look at a transaction, you find a slight suspicion, you can raise an alarm. You can raise an alarm at your level, so that the authorities or the people involved at the higher level, they can make decision, they can take decision if this is something which needs to be flagged at the next level. So it is the criticality of the process I'm telling you. So this process is really critical in investment banking domain. And another thing, apart from investment banking, KYC and AML has its presence in other banking spaces as well. When I say other banking spaces, that means I'm talking about commercial banking, I'm talking about home loan, right? So these are the other arms of a bank. So investment bank is one of the arm of a bank, right? So retail banking is a part of commercial banking. Similarly, cards division is also part of a retail banking. You can say credit cards and everything. So that is also a part of banking or the financial system, financial system in a sense. And at the same time, home loan, when you talk about, that is also a part of banking only, but it is not investment banking. So these arms or these functions of bank also have KYC, and though AML would not be there, because you would not be having that. AML can be limited to only your retail banking, not with cards and other home loan products, because there you don't have a chance to actually conduct money laundering, right? Okay, moving on, you can see the charges. See, so these are the things which money laundering does, right? So if you are using money, either you might be generating money using these illegal things, right? Then you are laundering money because you want to hide the source of fund from where you're actually getting money. If you are evading tax, right? So you would like to launder that money so that you are not caught. If you are doing drug trafficking, so you would be generating some money out of that, and you would also like to hide the source of those funds so that you are not caught by the authorities or the official in that jurisdiction. So you would be going through the Money Laundering Act. Have you heard about this term hawala? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this term, when you say hawala, what is hawala?
Basically, amount of money which some person gives to another for the kind of thing
Yeah.
that how should I explain?
Yeah.
Basically, it is done to
Hawala.
be bad, but it
Mm.
is given on the basis of hiding something or
Right. Right.
hiding something
So,
which is suspicious enough.
right, absolutely. So can we term hawala kind of a money laundering or a money laundering? Rather, not a kind, I will say money laundering only.
Yes, but there is no checks on that thing as far as rules and
Mm.
regulation because Hawala is the normal thing which you can see or witness in a normal market as well. So there are no
Can I
checks.
say
But
something?
yes, in a
Yeah,
major
yeah, yeah. Who is this? Ajay?
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir. So in India, money laundering is popularly known as Hawala transactions. And so,
Mm.
Hawala is an alternate of parallel remittance system. It facilitates conversion of a black money into white.
Right.
So, and
Mm,
this Hawala term is basically come from
Apurv,
Arabic word.
right, right,
So,
absolutely, absolutely, Ajay. So, Apurv, just wanted to understand from you, as you said, like we cannot term this. Like you saying something like we cannot term under financial system. Something you said. This that
yeah,
point
you
did
can.
not get.
Hawala is a normal day-to-day layman term which is used in normal. Basically, there is no regularization of this term. Whereas if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
use the term money laundering, it comes up has to be more sophisticated term, and
Hmm.
it is say money laundering. It is we half on behold that it has been regularized. But if you say कि
Hmm.
हाँ ये बंदा इस तरह से हवाला लेकर आया, that means कि उस पे कोई regularization थी नहीं, as in उस पे कोई
Uh-huh.
checks नहीं थे. So
Uh-huh.
money laundering
Uh-huh.
is much more sophisticated term used in financial
Okay, so maybe if I understand it correctly, so you would not like to term it a money laundering, maybe because when it is being done in the domestic environment,
yeah
when like you want to, right, in a domestic environment, you would not be able to term it a money laundering because it
yeah
is actually not, it is not visible, right? That you
yeah
say.
yeah
But
yeah
let's assume if I want to transfer my share of money which I have earned through a illicit means in my country, right? And I want to transfer this stuff to another country, overseas transfer, overseas, right? So that way it has to go through a financial system.
yes
So even the Hawala guys who are actually involved in this Hawala transactions, they also have their good contacts in the system, financial system, and they can facilitate the transfer of such funds from one country to another country by taking some commission. So they have
yeah
VAT,
yeah
right, percentage. So that way you will be terming it as a money laundering
yeah
in a nutshell.
if it comes, for example, if it comes under the visibility of the due regularization process. So obviously they term it as money laundering, not hawala or something, just a normal domestic one. So,
Okay.
and hawala guys are basically more of an intermediary between the two parties involved. So,
Okay.
So it is
Okay,
basically
fair
done with
enough.
the help of third party.
yeah.
Right, absolutely. Right,
आधी रात को क्या
right,
करते हैं, वो
right.
कन्वर्ट करते हैं ओवरसीज में, इसको यहाँ से इस कंट्री थर्ड पार्टी को पैसा दे दिया, ठीक है, उसको मिल गया, फिर वहां से वो पैसा उसको वहां ट्रांसफर कर देता है, बस हो गया. तो ओवरसीज ट्रांसफर वाला यही सब होता है.
बनाइए पुलिस वालों ने.
हाँ, so this would be termed as money laundering. We would be calling it as a money laundering because here also you are hiding the source of fund.
बैठ जा रहा हूँ.
वही सोच रहा हूँ.
Okay. Okay. Maybe Akriti, Arifa, anything you want to add here? You okay with this? What we are clear as of now, everyone?
Yes, sir, clear.
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay, how did this happen? Corporate structure allowed the bank to operate virtually without regulation all over the world. How did this happen? The organizational web consists of dozens of shell companies, offshore banks, branches, and subsidiaries in 70 countries. The bank's complex organization, unique method of accounting make it unlikely the most of the missing money will be traced. Its affairs were extraordinarily complex. The end 5th July 1991, the regulators persuaded a court in Luxembourg to order BCCI liquidated on grounds of insolvency. So it is actually we are talking about the history of this thing when it actually came into existence, right? The Money Laundering Act and all, when it actually gained the attention of the world that this is a problem. So that is what we are talking about here. Okay, let's move on to other screen. Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
So you can see it is the amount. Laundered amount is 7 to 9 billion USD between 96 to 2002. And then in 2012 to 2015, 43 million USD. And can you see the fine? The fine was
1.9 billion.
1.9. It's a huge money. It's a huge money. So you can see there are now there is a stricter regulation around money laundering thing. If in case a financial institution is found to be doing money laundering intentionally or unintentionally, then it will lead to very harsh repercussion and harsher penalties for the bank. And if things continue, there could be a situation wherein the bank's license can also be suspended. That is also possible, but that is the harshest step which any government, any regulator can take. So especially for a bank like HSBC or a bank like SDFC Bank or ICC Bank, it is quite difficult to suspend the license. Given if they do that, it would lead to very panic situation in the entire financial market, in the entire banking system. So they would not be doing that, but still there could be huge fines levied on the banking industry if they are found to be not able to stop money laundering activities, right? Okay, you can see now here also Standard Chartered. So it is not a story about one bank or two bank. This is about the Bank of New York Mellon. This is about HSBC, right? And this was between 96 2002. This was in year 2015, right? Similarly, when I move on here, I see Standard Chartered was fined 300 million USD in 2014 and 340 million in 2012, right? And similarly, BNP Paribas, uh, which country this bank is from? As in which country this bank was established from?
I guess Hong Kong or any. It's an Asian market bank.
BNP, no. It's not Asian. It is European, like yours.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Any guesses? Anyone?
Italy.
Okay. Anyone else?
Germany.
Okay. Anyone else?
France.
Yes. It is a French bank. BNP Paribas. It's a very it's one of the biggest like bank in France, and so this is France and HSBC, you know, right? Bank of New York, Mellon, you would be knowing because the word New York is there. Standard Chartered. Any idea?
No, sir.
Anyone?
Chinese bank, I think.
No
Chinese
idea?
bank.
Standard.
Chinese bank.
Okay. I'm not very sure. Even I'm not sure about this bank. Anyone? Any idea? And Standard Chartered is also into retail banking in India.
Yeah.
It is also in retail banking. It is a British international bank.
Yeah.
Standard Chartered, it is a British international multinational bank. So okay, let us move on. Okay, and now you can see this next slide. What is this? Wasn't just banks. If you see the words written there, here, wasn't just banks. Liberty Reserve. Liberty Reserve. Have you heard of this name before?
No, sir.
Okay, so this Liberty Reserve, this is a financial institution. This was a financial institution. It is no more existing now. So it was shut down by putting some sanctions by the United States. So it was in Costa Rica. Have you heard this name, Costa Rica?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this financial institution was in Costa Rica, and it was involved. Rather, they were primarily for doing transactions, kind of a payment, like Western Union. You know Western Union. Western Union, you would have seen the boards, kind of same kind of transactions.
Yellow and black logo mix.
Right, absolutely. Similarly, Liberty Reserve was also allowing fund transfers from one end to another end, and the important thing is they were able to get it done with minimal information. Maybe I guess some name and a phone number and like minimal information, couple of things only, not any detail information. So it was a complete breach of KYC and AML thing, because when you're saying minimal information, that means name, phone number, or maybe a couple of more information. With that thing, they were doing their entire affair. So they were carrying out the business with this thing only, and at the end, when everything came into light and this financial institution was shut down by putting a lot of sanctions on it. Okay. Okay, now the anti-money laundering. So, what is anti-money laundering? What is anti-money laundering? So, the money laundering, we are clear, right? What is money laundering? So, if anyone asks you about money laundering, then you should be. Though we have not done the 3 layers of money laundering that we would be doing in the other slides, that would be there. The 3 layers that we were talking about: placement, layering, and then integration, right? So, these are the 3 layers of money laundering. So that we would be covering in the other slides that we would be have. So before we actually go to that slide, we would be looking at this one and trying to understand what are the objectives of anti-money laundering. Anti means against something, right? So when you have, what are the objectives of anti-money laundering? That is written here: hit organized criminals where it hurts the most, that is their wallet. Contribute to the prevention of organized crime by reduction of the incentives. Protect the integrity of financial system by preventing use and abuse by criminals and launderers. Right? So that is the objective. That is the objective. So all the illicit things which are happening around the world are because they have a chain of organized funding, right? They have a chain of organized funding, and that funding help them do those illicit things in the world, maybe sitting in any corner of the world. They are able to conduct or do those abusive practice, which may be related to the various things that we looked at here on this slide also. So all these things that you look at here, so these are the things which they are able to do because they have a chain of illicit funds which they are getting from the various parts of the world. So that is how they are able to mobilize their crime activities. That is why they are able to do various organized crimes like human trafficking, child trafficking, like drug abusing and drug trafficking also. And then they are also involved into terrorist financing and terrorist activities, because terrorists are also at the end require money to conduct their business. If they don't have money, they will not be able to survive for long. So, but they have a chain of organized, I say, not very. It's an organized chain of money which is coming to them, and even it can be not just they are getting it. It may be from various countries. Even if you think of my country is not involved or their country is not involved, you never know. Any country can be involved into this. All countries can be involved into this. So some people who are sitting at the high level, they can also involve into it. It depends. What are their vested interests? What are they motivated to conduct all these things? Because there are huge incentives, huge profits in terms of overall benefit. So that is how things are happening at the and there are some countries who are actually like Congo, Africa, just countries like they're very poor country, right? So people are exploited. And even if you look at a very old history, if you go back in history for around 150 years back or 200 years back, human trafficking was very prevalent that point in time also. It is not that was that time it was not prevalent. It was prevalent then also. You remember a story, or there was some clips available for on YouTube also. There are many movies also. Even I remember one movie which I a slave for 12 years, something like that. So this was a very real. That's a real story movie. It's a real life, real movie. So people from African origin, right? They were brought from those countries. They were brought and they were sold in the United States and maybe many other parts of the country also. And they were put to do a bonded labor, and they were not allowed to go anywhere. They were supposed to remain in a field or in the house. They would be doing the normal household chores, right? Or they would be doing the field job that may be related to farming and all that thing, and they were put in lot of restrictions and lot of things. So that this thing, human trafficking and everything, was even prevalent at that point in time also. So now this thing, which was a practice one point in time, because there were no stricter regulation against those things, because it was quite prevalent in the entire United States, and it was quite known that this thing was there, but no one was doing anything about that. But today, this is not so openly you can do. There might be people who would be doing it, but it is not allowed to abuse a human being, right? So that's the reason that there are stricter laws available, and there are many NGOs, many trusts who are also helping out doing this business, helping out in terms of reducing these kind of activity to scale up in the society, in the environment, in the world. Okay, so what would help achieve this? Criminalizing money laundering, effective provision on confiscation, forfeiture of criminal proceeds, KYC and CDD regulation. What is CDD? Any idea? What is KYC?
Know your client customer,
Yeah,
CDD,
no.
customer
Yeah.
due diligence.
Yeah, absolutely right. Then creating a reporting system to enable reporting on unusual suspicious transaction, right? Sorry. Enhancing international cooperation and mutual assistance. So what we are trying to achieve by doing or by implementing anti-money laundering rules or regulation, we are actually trying to achieve these things which are written there. Criminalizing money laundering, effecting provisions on confiscation. Confiscation means you are actually uh, seizing the illicit proceeds, or the proceeds that you have acquired with illicit means. You are putting a confiscation, you are seizing those things. So that is what you do, what you are able to do with the help of anti-money laundering acts and laws. KYC and CDD regulation have come due to anti-money laundering, right? Creating a reporting system which also enable any reporting, anything which is unusual, suspicious transaction which comes to the notice of a financial institution intermediary, then they are bound to report such transaction to the regulators and to the authorities under the supervision they are working, right? Then at the same time, it is not something which is limited to one country. The problem is not limited to one country, so international cooperation and mutual assistance is required. So that is also something which we are trying to achieve by using anti-money laundering laws in the country. Okay, moving on. So when we looked at these 5 points, and again on the same another slide we look at these 5 points are further divided into the points. So criminalizing money laundering, drug trafficking related serious crimes, all crimes, right? So any crime which is being conducted basis the money which is illicit money. So we are actually trying to stop the money laundering, or putting an anti-money laundering clause or laws. With that, we would be able to put a full stop on these kind of illegal things which are happening in the society, which could be drug trafficking, which could be any other child trafficking, which could be any other kind of a crime which you can think of. Okay, then
Sir, Neha has joined.
Neha has joined. Okay, so okay, Neha has joined. Okay, Neha, have you done with an interview? I think she is not able to hear or what?
She is messaging yes, sir.
Okay. So I guess Neha, you are facing some issue with your microphone, because yesterday also I guess you were not able to speak while we were doing this testing. Maybe what we can do, if you are facing, you using on a mobile phone.
Yes.
Okay, everyone is using on mobile phone, or anyone
No,
using on
laptop.
laptop also?
I'm using
Okay.
on laptop.
I'm using phone.
Okay. And Jeff is using MacBook. Okay.
Yeah, MacBook. वाह, अलग ही है भाई का तो.
So okay, fine. So you can use on MacBook also. You can use on, I guess, iPhone also. It is available on iOS, or no? I'm not very sure, but I think it should be. Any idea, guys? Because it is on Microsoft का तो है ही, ऐप भी है तो Microsoft का तो Windows में तो होगा ही. But you have to join audio with internet. Okay, right. Yeah. We'll have to join audio with internet. Absolutely. So net तो होना ही चाहिए. Net तो I assume होगा सबके पास ही. Okay. So Neha, what I can do, because I can suggest you, maybe you can just speak to Karan, right? Karan का number है आपके पास, because नेहा के पास है नंबर नहीं है. कोई नहीं. तो what I'll do, I'll share the Karan's number. ठीक है ना नेहा? You can maybe check with Karan. एक बार को करण आपकी हेल्प कर देंगे इसमें इशू को रिजॉल्व करने में, कि क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, कि if there is something as in with the phone or application down. अब एप्लीकेशन डाउनलोड किया है, I will reinstall it. Okay, ठीक है, no problem. You can reinstall, and in the meantime I will also share the number. Okay, I'll share the number later on. So how was it, Neha? For half an hour, or was it for 1 hour, like in case of Ajay? Okay, good. ठीक है. तो गाइस मुझे लगता है, क्योंकि the good thing is Saxo Bank is able to give feedback about as in the confirmation in days or 2 days time. In case of Akriti, I guess they informed in 2 days time, right, Akriti?
Yes, sir, around 2 or 3.
Around 2 or 3 days, so which is quite a good turnaround time. Yeah. For KYC ML also it would be same. They would be able to, I guess, confirm in 2 or 3 days. I'm very sure. Otherwise, I can confirm it with the help of the consultant with whom we are in touch. So he would be able to get the feedback from the bank, from the client directly. Okay. Can you just give me 1 second?
Yeah, sure. Hello.
Hello.
दामिनी मैम भी है क्या हमारे इसमें?
सभी देख रहे हैं.
Yes, मैं भी हूँ. Hi guys, how are you?
Hello ma'am, how are you?
I'm good.
मैम वो एक
Corona.
चीज अपूर्व,
हाँ.
वो मैम से पूछना था. मैम वो एक बार, अच्छा ये मैम बताएंगे, कौन मैम बताएंगे?
क्या बोलो?
I think दिव्या मैम भी बताएंगी.
पोर्टल के लिए.
वो तो दिव्या ही बता पाएगी गाइस.
ओके मैम, ओके.
Can you hear me?
Yes sir.
Okay. So regarding the portal access, right? So I was talking to Divya, and Divya was saying like many of you is not enrolling on the portal, and
Sir, the thing is
I
कि
asked her.
there are a lot of
बताइए.
things that need to be discussed because it has been said that if you fill in the portal even for the first time, then it will get blocked. Then even if a status change you need to make, it will not happen. So there are a lot of things which are not mentioned by them to us, or some things which we have to discuss with her, because some
Okay.
entries are blocked and they are required information only. You can't skip upon them. So that
Okay.
is why it is
Okay.
taking time.
Okay.
So we
Okay, then
discuss with
probably
her
we
and
can
we have,
speak as an.
if
Okay, fair
if
enough.
it is
So,
possible, if it is possible for the Damini ma'am to connect her right now after the class for like 10 to 15 minutes, will be great. Since सारे एक साथ अभी है, so one will open the portal and जो भी doubts होंगे पूछ लेंगे.
yeah.
पोर्टल नहीं हुआ है मेरा तो, क्योंकि हो गया है.
Okay.
Portal मतलब you will not be filling the portal now.
आई एम डन विद पोर्टल. आई कैन सी मतलब जितने भी आ रहे हैं जॉब्स के लिए.
हाँ, so हमें बता दो प्लीज कि कैसे क्या फिल इन करना है, कैसे.
जैसे जैसे मैम ने बताया था मैंने तो वैसे किया था, तो मेरा तो हो गया था. मतलब जो भी जैसे जैसे फिल करोगे ना, तो यू कैन कॉल मैम विल हेल्प यू डायरेक्टली वट एवर डिटेल्स यू वांट. मतलब कहाँ पे जाके अटक गए.
ओके देन वो पोर्टल फुल भी करना पड़ेगा फिर.
हाँ, क्योंकि मैंने पोर्टल तो मैंने मैम को बार बार कॉल करके पूछा था कि इसमें क्या करना है.
ओके फाइन.
ओके,
ठीक है. Okay, so no problem. So maybe you can take it offline or maybe on WhatsApp with Divya, because I was just talking about something with Divya, and then she was telling me I'm not sure why the students are not registering on portal. So I said like maybe I can talk to them and accordingly discuss like what is the issue. So if this is the issue, and is this the issue with you, Apoor, only, or is it with barring Akarti, everyone is okay?
No,
Who is
not
facing the
at all.
challenge? Ajay is facing the issue, okay. And what about others? Neha is facing the issue, okay. Okay, and
No,
Jay?
sir, I am okay with it.
Okay, Ajay is okay. Okay, fine. ठीक है, तो हम इसको अलग से ले सकते हैं, इसको अलग से एक बार डिस्कस कर लेंगे. अगर अपूर्व एक बार डिस्कस करना मे बी दिव्या से, अगर कुछ प्रॉब्लम आती है देन मे बी वी कैन सी लाइक डिस्कस करके एक बार. अगर नहीं होता तो फिर जो व्हेन वी वुड बी देयर एट द क्लास, बिकॉज प्रॉब्लम ये है कि अभी वी आर नॉट श्योर इवन इफ द लॉकडाउन गोज ऑफ how soon we can resume from classroom. It is a challenge, so that is something which which has to be decided by the institute only. So considering that or keeping that thing in mind, so it would be better if we clarify maybe over phone or WhatsApp, whatever is convenient to you, and maybe discuss with Divya, so that it's good. ठीक है.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let us move on to other things. So criminalizing money laundering. So this is the one of the priority when we are talking about Anti-Money Laundering Act, or the provisions that we have in the country or in any country for that matter, because this is just not limited to India. Every country has got some laws or some regulation in certain way, and the other country might have those laws and regulation in certain way. So there might be some changes here and there, but more or less the objective and the overall aim of these laws and regulation is to curb the illicit money moving from one location or one place to other place. So that is intact. That aim is, or that objective is intact from all the countries who are having anti-money laundering laws in the country. Then coming to KYC, so KYC and CDD is something that we will be doing more into this presentation in the remaining slides that we have, because this is the focus area. This is the focus area. So the know your customer due diligence. So the entire slide, the remaining slide that we would be doing, would be talking more on these things only, right? So this part would be coming later on. What is customer due diligence? What is legal and beneficial ownership? Politically exposed person, right? So creating a reporting system to enable reporting unusual suspicious transactions. So what does it have? Mandatory and record keeping and reporting, monitoring suspicious activity, defining reporting criteria. So all these things go into this piece. Then we have enhancing international cooperation and mutual assistance. So what does it have? It has financial intelligence units, it has agreement group, it has supervision and monitoring. So these are the, when we talk about enhancing international cooperation, so there more of the collaboration and supervision at the global framework level comes, at the global level comes. So that is what is mentioned here. So now we would be talking one KYC CDD in a quite detailed manner in the remaining slide, and also we would be talking about some of the laws that is into existence, like FATF, like FETCA, like EMIR and Dodd-Frank, but that would be done not completely in this slide. That would be some in this, and remaining would be in another risk management topic that we have. So there we would be covering EMIR, Dodd-Frank and all other stuff, right? Okay, let's move on. Okay, consequence of not complying with AML and CFT. So can we look at these 4 points? Because these are very self-explanatory. There is nothing which is difficult to understand, anything which you're not clear of. Following would be possible consequence of an organization fails to manage the risk of money laundering. Legal and regulatory sanctions, we have already discussed about them quite in detail. Penalty could affect the bottom line. What does it mean? What do you understand by this? If any idea you have about this, because it is not something very unique. It is very understandable, but just the term written here, I'm more concerned about, like, what do you make of this term? Penalty could affect the bottom line. Anything that comes to your mind? Yeah. Anyone? You guys there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when I say penalty could affect the bottom line का मतलब क्या हुआ? Revenues, right? Bottom line means something which can actually reduce your profits, revenue, right? So it can, because when there would be fines, as we saw on the previous slides, there were fines of $1 billion, right? 1.9 billion, something of that huge amount, right? In million. If that level of penalty is being imposed on a bank, then it would definitely impact the revenue of a bank. And if you look at the current situation, if you look at the many banks who are already struggling to make their ends meet, right? They're definitely very badly struggling to make their ends meet. And there are banks who are even bailed out bank, even RBS. RBS is also a bailed out bank. It is not controlled and owned privately, right? However, the many banks who are doing quite good, Citi is doing quite good, Goldman is doing quite good, JP Morgan is doing quite good. Most of the US banks, they are doing good. And there are banks who are not able to keep up the pace. Why they're not able to keep up the pace? Because the technology, and they've not worked quite hard on the customer expectations. And when you talk about customer expectation, the important thing to meet customer expectation is to have robust, strong technology, strong systems, because systems are the distinguishing factor between you and your competitor, right? So if you can give strong system to your client or your customers, and the technology that you're using is the best in class, and it is actually keeping you apart from your competitors, then you actually gain this market share, or you gain the market. And once the customer is happy with the kind of service that you're delivering to them, then it is for sure that you would be able to be able to do good in the market. So penalty could affect the bottom line. That means the revenue would be hit hard if there are a lot of penalties which are coming due to AML and KYC and everything. Damage to the corporate action, corporate reputation, loss of goodwill. This is very common. This is very simple to understand. Nothing complex. Negative publicity, right? Anything which is not clear as of now? Any question comes to your mind? All clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. My chat window is not okay. Okay. So I guess uh, what is political exposed person? Oh, okay. Arifa is asking, what is political exposed person? So political exposed person. Any idea, guys? Anyone who would like to take it? Anyone? Who are politically exposed person? Okay, so this window, the chat window, can you also see this chat window?
Yes, sir.
It's a common chat window, right? Okay. So political exposed person we would be doing in the other slides, in the remaining slides. But just to give you a brief about political exposed person, that means somebody who's connected with the political class, right? So those people would come under political exposed person. So it is not necessary the person should be directly into politics. It is not necessary. Even the relatives, even the family of the political person would be considered to be politically exposed person. Okay. So that is how things are. So political exposed means anyone who has any connection with a person who is in politics. Also, at the same time, people who are sitting at the constitutional post, they will also be falling under politically exposed person lists. So you can say High Court judge, Supreme Court judge, President of India. So all these positions are politically exposed person, right? Okay, all right. Okay, so let us move on to this slide now. There are 3 stages of money laundering, right? So now we are talking about the 3 stages of money laundering. Okay, Jeff is also asked what is POMLA and FCRA. Okay, again. So this is again related to the regulatory like FATF and all other acts that we're talking about. Similarly, this is also regulation. So that we would be discussing in the, not in this slide, but maybe in the later slides that would be close to, I guess, 50-60 slides later down this presentation. We would be having all these things. See, we would be covering this piece also. Okay. Okay. So 3 stages as we discussed. I guess अभी हमने दिन में जो discuss किया था. Again we are discussing the same thing. So if you look at this slide here, so it is talking about, it is very, if we try to understand this, it is very self-explanatory. Anyone would like to explain what is happening here? Anyone?
Yes, sir. Say that I told you first, the money is divided into small parts.
Yeah, your voice is not audible enough.
It is a bit cracking. So yeah, now it's better, I guess.
Hello.
Yeah, it's
Hello.
better.
It's clear now.
Yeah, sort of.
Hello.
Speak more.
Yeah, it is okay. Yeah, it is okay.
So actually, it is first the money is deposited in bank or stuff into small parts. So the other minimal amount like 20,000, 25,000 in different accounts. There are like agencies mostly who does it. Then they are getting to the financial. It is the first stage when it goes to the financial sector. Then it is layered, like it is invested in stocks, bonds, and then it's some other place. Then the layering happens. Then the last process is integration. The whole amount is collected into one place and invested in a big business or something. Hello?
Yes, right. Absolutely. Yeah, right. You're right. So the three points which are there on the slide: placement, layering, integration. So placement is basically talking about you placing your funds in the banking system, in the financial system. So that can be in bits and pieces also. It can also be a one go. And so you are actually putting your money, right, in the bank. And then you are moving your money from one account to another account to third account to fourth account, fourth to fifth account. It is possible. It is possible that you are not actually lending in the right account in a very first place, in your first go, I'll say. You're taking your time. You're moving very slowly. Or why you're doing all this? You're creating layers. You are hiding things. You're making things complex. Because more the difficulty in analyzing or understanding the transaction, the more the ground for you to save yourself. Right? So that is what you're trying to do with the help of layering. You transfer money to X Limited through fictitious business transaction, then you finally go and do the integration. That means you actually collect the fund. Now on the next slide, you will find more information about the same thing that we are discussing right on this slide. See. Okay, now you see, now we are talking about these terms that we are having on the slide: placement, layering, integration. Placement, the first stage of money laundering, involves the placement of bulk cash into financial system without the appearance of being connected to a criminal activity. There are many ways of cash can be placed into the system. Simplest way is to deposit cash into financial institution. However, this is also one of the riskier ways to get caught laundering money. Right? So this is one of the way which has been explained. You go to the bank, you put your money in the bank. So that is also one of the way of doing money laundering. You are hiding the actual source of the fund, and it may be connected to the criminal activity, but that is also one of the simplest way of doing money laundering. Now on the other slide, to avoid notice, banking transaction involving cash are likely to be conducted in amounts under the CTR reporting threshold. This activity is referred as structuring. Placement poses the greatest risk to a business. Transaction may be structured to avoid record keeping or reporting threshold. False identification or information may be provided. So as this is given here, placement poses the greatest risk to our business, right? Transaction may be structured to avoid the record keeping or reporting threshold. So there is a possibility, as Jeff also mentioned, like when the placement is being done, so to avoid the most of the record keeping, most of the documentation around a transaction, you do this in a threshold which is below a certain level, so that it does not come to the light of the banking people, or does not meet the required criteria of money laundering and something. Therefore, you would be able to place your fund in the system and would not be in the eyes of the people who are actually keeping watch on you, right? False identification information which is being provided is not up to the mark or not correct at all. So that is what is being done when the placement of funds is being done. And why this is done? Because you do not want any kind of a notice or any kind of legal notices coming to you. So to avoid all this thing, you are doing this, you're conducting your business in a very hidden and very systematic manner, and mostly in taking or putting your money into the system in bits and pieces that way. Okay. The second stage of money laundering is typically layering. This stage is a process of moving and manipulating funds to confuse their sources, as well as complicating or partially eliminating the paper trail. It may involve moving funds in various forms through multiple accounts and numerous financial institutions, both domestic and international, in a complex series of transactions. This is the same thing that we discussed, like what you're doing, you're creating the layer. So how you're creating a layer, you are actually moving fund from here to there to here, and thereby you're able to create so many complex web that it would not be difficult to make out by looking at the transaction how it originated, and it remains a puzzle for the person to know the actual source of fund, right? Okay, moving on. Transferring funds by check or monetary okay, how you actually doing this placement and this layering thing, how this is being done is being given here. Transferring funds by check or monetary instrument, exchanging cashier's checks and other monetary instrument for other cashier's check, larger or smaller, possibly adding additional cash or other monetary instrument in the process, performing interbank transfer between accounts owned or controlled by a common individual, performing wire transfer to accounts under various customer and business names at other financial institution, transferring funds outside and possibly back into the US, by various means such as wire transfer, particularly through secrecy haven countries. What is secrecy haven countries? Any idea?
Sir, I guess Panama Island was one of the major example of that tax haven countries.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
papers.
Yeah, there were also
Anything else?
there were also
Anyone?
cases like
Yeah, right. Rightly said. So the many country which are
Even
yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, sir. Even at
Go
some
ahead.
point of time, Switzerland was also considered to be a secret haven country because of the Swiss bank having a lot of accounts which were holding black money. So even Switzerland was considered to be a secret haven country for that
Absolutely.
matter.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. So where the information is not so easily accessible, so those countries would be falling under these two words which are written there, secrecy haven countries. So there you cannot get information so easily. If you really have a very strong political cloud, then probably you can manage to get some information at your level, but that would not be public. Right? So if the information is not public, that means it is a secrecy haven. So if it is not coming from the official spokesperson, official media person of the bank or the company, then that means even the information if I have got due to my political cloud is limited at my level. I would not be able to tell anyone that this is the information which has been shared by that country or that particular country, right? So you can say in short, secrecy haven in a country which have a very strict secret kind of privacy information, who do not like to share information of the customer, or maybe the information which is more beneficial to them, or where they have more vested interest, so they would not like to share those information to the other people to avoid having control or the exposure to the business, you can say. Okay, obtaining certificate of deposit, secured loans, depositing loan disbursement check into an account when the loan is defaulted on, there is no loss on the bank, depositing a refund check from the cancellation package or insurance policy. So see the last point, what is the depositing a refund check from the cancellation package or the insurance policy? So these are actually the medium, how you're actually hiding the source of your fund, and you are putting into the cash into the bank account. Maybe you have booked some vacation package, right? You have already given a check, and then you get a deal by talking to the agent who is facilitating the whole thing. Sorry. So you're talking to the agent who is facilitating the vacation and everything, insurance also. You want that policy or that package which you have booked to be cancelled, and the check which you gave initially is refunded back, and when the check is refunded, the money comes to your account, right? So it is, so if you look at this transaction, you gave a check, was there money in your account? You don't know, but you gave the check, right? So it was cancelled. Then when it was the package was cancelled, you got a check, and then the refunded money that came to your account. So that means you would have done everything in cash, but you received money in check. And to actually make out the source of the fund which you have received with the check, with the help of the check, you will have to dig down the cash transaction which you have done uh, with the person with whom you booked the vacation package or you bought the insurance policy, right? Though in today's world it is quite difficult to do everything in cash, especially for the insurance policy, it is next to impossible to buy insurance with the help of the cash money. However, vacation and holiday packages may be done with the cash and everything, right? But these are some of the examples given to you, like how placement of funds can be done, and further that can be lead to layering and other thing. So these are the various mediums or ways you are actually conducting placement of funds. Okay, then the last point that we have is integration of money into the economy. The third stage of money laundering is integration, which typically follows the layering stage. In the discussion, the placement stage, the integration can be accomplished simultaneously with the placement of funds. After the funds have been placed into the financial system and insulated through the layering process, the integration phase is used to create the appearance of legality through additional transactions such as loans, real estate deals. These transactions provide the criminal with a plausible explanation as to where the funds came from to purchase assets and shield the criminal from any type of recorded connection to the funds. Okay, so what we if we look at this entire slide, what we understand, what is actually being done here? Integration. So you are not just integrating money all of a sudden. You're just not getting money all of a sudden. Maybe to hide the fund that you're going to receive, you do something else. You or buy some, you go for a loan, you buy some property, right? You buy some real estate, and you take a loan against that real estate to own that real estate. You go to a bank, you get a loan, then you continue paying that loan for some years, right? And then you kind of come up, you sell that property, and you come up with the money. However, the transaction that you're actually doing has no meaning. You already have a fund with you. You already received the fund from somewhere. But to hide the original source of fund, you have done all this because you need to have a continuous trail of money with you so that you don't end up losing money. So that is why you are actually making layers, and when you're doing the integration at the integration point, you are actually able to make another plan. So one, with the help of a loan, you are actually trying to show the authorities or the officials that you already have fund with you. With the help of this property sold off, right? You bought some property, you paid some loan, then you might be paying another bulk money together to own that property. Then you sell off that property after 5 years, 6 years down the line, and the money that you receive against the property is used. However, that would not be the money which you are using then. That money might be used later on, but you already have enough money in the beginning also to cover up. You are actually showing that you sold the property, and with that sale, you have received the money. So that is the integration basically. When you actually doing the integration is also not done very quickly. It is done in very slow and very systematic manner, so that it is not in any way caught or assumed that this money has come from illicit source, or there is some problem, or there is something black in the money. So it is a very organized way of doing the whole thing, or integration in the end as well. Okay. Any doubt as of now, guys? Anything which you are not clear?
No, sir, not me.
Okay. All right. Okay. So for today, I guess we have done the fundamentals as in the basic that we have done, and we have already covered our as in the allotted time also for today. So I would not like to proceed from here, given given the next slide would take more time, and we would be covering it in tomorrow's class rather. So okay, so guys, as I said, KYC is something which you should be having a fair idea, because KYC is just not limited to just the one process. Even when you are talking about your process which might be related to some other function, maybe the corporate action for that matter, the one in which Purv is there. So KYC will be there. KYC will be there. Anti-money laundering will not be there, because anti-money laundering is something which actually comes with money being involved into it, right? But KYC comes for everything that you're doing. KYC is know your customer. So when you are setting up your customer in the system, you actually know about your customer. So that is applicable to all the process, no matter which function you are into. It will be related to everything. Even it will be related to retail banking, it will be related to home loan, it will be related to credit card, it will be related to consumer banking. Even when you talk about sub processes in investment banking, even to those things, KYC will be related, because there also you do onboarding of your client. So in onboarding, KYC is the main function that which you has to perform. So with this, I like to end here. And anyone has any question, anything which he or she wants to add, we can discuss it now. We are good to leave?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so guys, I am leaving meeting, and we will meet tomorrow again at the same time. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye sir. Bye bye.
Bye.